Hello.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Good to see everyone tonight.
Yeah.
There's 2 people on the chat.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. Let's see who you are. Give us a nice little hello. And let me know who you are. So welcome to Winephabet Street. This is the only episode that we always do the same thing. Because, well, actually, I take that back. Because the first season we did Cook this show, so
that's right.
we had a cue. But then last season,
and now we're doing questions.
Now we do questions.
Hey, Patty. I'll be seeing you in a couple weeks.
Oh, all right.
In Cabo.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, Kevin.
Going to Cabo. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Ooh, Burr. Brother's a huge Steelers fan. If you have tickets that you ever want to get rid of, my brother will make the drive. Just putting that out there for you. Okay. He goes to like 2 games a year, but I'm sure he'll go to more if there happens to be tickets. Anyway, well, welcome to Winephabet Street. Today the letter is Q, and we are going over some questions that people might be a little too shy to ask, or think that it's a stupid question. And as Debbie and I always say, there
are no stupid questions.
Right. Absolutely. The thing about wine is that it actually can be a bit intimidating. And that's actually part of Debbie's slogan, right? Yeah. Is trying to take the intimidation out of wine. And, as wine educators, there is no stupid question. You can ask any question, and Deb and I will just talk to the cows come home to help you understand it. All right. So welcome. In case you don't know who I am Lori Budd. I am a Spanish wine scholar, a Côte d'Aron specialist, champagne specialist, WSET Level 2, and Somm day service, and something else that I'm always forgetting, and it's really not that important. But I am also owner, along with my husband, on Dracaena Wines in Paso Robles, where we specialize in Cabernet Franc. And I have a little something when we get started. I just want to talk about something a little bit later.
Okay.
So Deb, how about you?
I'm Debbie Giaquindo. I'm known as the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess. I'm a certified specialist of wine, a wine location specialist in port and champagne, and a certified sherry wine specialist. I'm author of the book, Tapping the Hudson Valley, Day Trips and Weekend Itineraries to Visit the Hudson Valley Wine Region. I am chairperson for the Hudson Valley Wine Competition, Wine Spirits and Cider Competition. And I am co-owner with my husband and chef Gus Zimmerman of a restaurant in North Wildwood called Trio North Wildwood that we're opening for the season April 5th. And if anybody out there knows anybody looking for a server, busser, or hostess position for the summer, or even going into the fall, because I do need coverage, we're open through April 5th through New Year's Eve, send them my way. And if I've left anything out, oh, well.
It's on the website. It's on the website.
And a granddaughter.
Yay. Yay. All right. Let's get into Elmo here. And here we go. It was there. I think it was there. Well, this is what I get for doing it really late at night. So
we can sing. Cue for questions.
It was there. I swear it was there.
Yee! As Elmo goes.
Elmo, it was there. I don't know what happened. Anyway, welcome to Winephabet Street, and the letter of the day is Q for questions. And this is the first time in a very, very, very long time that it is just Deb and I.
So, and our wine.
Wine, yes. So, Deb, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking. I opened up Barra, Barra, from Medaniso Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon, and I didn't really research it, or I just asked Lori what she was opening, and I was looking for something to open. So it says here it's made with organic grapes. In 1955, Charlie Barra planted this first vineyard in the rich red vine soils of Medaniso County in the Redwood Valley. Charlie farmed organically before there was even a certification, deciding early on that was the only acceptable path forward. Today, we're still committed to these same principles and continue to be family owned and organically farmed. So that's enjoy, Martha, Sean, and Shelley.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
So, yeah.
Well, I went
typical cab.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I went with a Concha y Toro, Castillo del Diablo, and it's a Merlot. And this is the first time I've had their Merlot. So, I think they're best known for their Malbec. This is a big time go-to Malbec, usually about $10. So it's an easy drinking if you're at a party. It's a good wine to bring for that. But this is their Merlot, and it is it's very different. It's earthy, very, very earthy.
Okay.
So the first thing that comes to me is forest floor and like mushroom, that type of thing.
I should have grabbed a glass with a stem. I grabbed a glass with my dog on it.
Oh, I've seen that. That's so cute. So there's black fruit in there. It's darker fruit, blue fruit, that blueberry. That is a typical kind of Merlot-esque type of wine.
Vanilla. I get vanilla.
Oh, okay.
So
a little bit of oak there.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right. Shall we go on with some questions?
Well, I had a wine last night.
Okay.
And this is the wine that I wanted to bring up because I kind of freaked out in the store when I was walking the aisle.
Okay.
And took a picture and sent it to my husband, Mike. And he was like, wow. Now, Deb, you're familiar with Trevento, right? We've had Trevento before. We've talked about that, right? Again, very much a Malbec place, right? Because, it's Mendoza. So it is Argentina. It's Malbec. Tannat is good too, but, I think they're best known for their Malbec. But this is what I found.
Oh, nice. A white Malbec.
So this is a white Malbec.
How was that?
And it says the first white Malbec. So I of course had to buy it. And so as you know, Deb,
and you drank it.
Oh, I drank it. I sat down yesterday at about 5:00 and I opened the bottle and I was doing winery stuff, trying to get ready for club shipments and things like that. And by 11:00 at night, this little baby was gone. So it's really not over drinking if it's 6 hours to take through a whole bottle.
No, not at all.
It was very interesting. And so what I found is actually very similar to, Deb, what's coming in your package in a couple of weeks is our Blanc de Franc. And our white Cabernet Franc, which we can put this sticker on too, because we are the first in Paso. But so the Blanc de Franc is like you're standing in the middle of an orchard and you just pulled down a fresh peach and bit into it. And it is a nice, ripe peach, but it is a 100% dry wine, but nice, beautiful peach flavors and aromatics out the wazoo, right? But when Mike and I tasted it after bottling the first time, Wednesday of last week, we pulled it out of the refrigerator and we started drinking it, and we were like, oh, well, this has changed since bottling, but it started to warm up, and it was too cold coming right out of the refrigerator. And that just shows that temperature importance, right? So as the temperature, as it warmed up a bit, those peach flavors and aromatics really came through. So those, like that second half of that bottle was incredible. And this was kind of the same way. As it warmed up, it very much changed its dynamics and its characteristics and aromatics of it. But it's amazing to me how a white wine, like a white Malbec or our Blanc de Franc, it is made from a red grape,
right,
picked to be a red grape, or at least ours was picked to be a red grape. But then we process it to turn it into a white wine. So to have a completely different profile really shows you what the skins, and sitting on the skins
do to the wine.
Right, because this is, in order to get this wine white, you're picking it up quickly. As soon as you're harvesting, you are bottling it not bottling it, I'm sorry, pressing it very, very gently. And it is, it doesn't see any skin contact at all. So it just shows you how that difference is. You're just tasting that pulp basically inside.
So Kevin asked, direct press the Cab Franc, any hint of color?
So it is interesting. It is closer to like what a Chardonnay is like. So it's kind of it's not straw. It's a little bit golden hue. And that actually changed after bottling. So that oxygen input during bottling changed it, because when we bottled it, I have a picture that is on Instagram that shows that glass, and it was crystal clear. It was like water. And now it's a little bit more into I wouldn't call it golden, but it's in between straw and gold. But yes, direct press. As soon as we got to the winery, bam, pressed it pretty much for 2 hours. Gentle, relax, gentle, relax, gentle, relax. Until we started to see a hint of pink come out. Also constantly throwing dry ice on it, because while you're pressing it, that dry ice will make it more difficult for any color that comes in to stick. So, and then as we let it settle, the color actually did settle out, which was cool too. You could see the red settle out and go down. But this white Malbec was crystal clear also. It was, it was a straw color. So this whole concept of white wine from a red grape is really starting to have a new trend. And I think as we progress in this, people are going to start seeing more and more and more of it. And this literally is the first Malbec I've ever seen that is white. I've seen white Sangiovese, white Pinot Noir,
I've had,
that's been around. That's been around for a while.
I've had white Gamay.
Yep. Okay. But I think this white from a red is just something that is starting to pique people's interest.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a lot more of it. And people are excited about our Blanc de Franc. Like they can't wait to get their hands on it. And there's not a lot of it. It's pretty much club only. Mike only gave me a half a ton. Yeah, Mike only gave me a half a ton to make. So I only got 14 cases. So
you'll go through that.
I will go through that. Yeah. But yeah, so I thought that was amazing to see that white Malbec, because it really is the first one that I've seen, but we're starting to see it more and more and more. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's fun that winemakers are experimenting with new dynamics, and for us, the Blanc de Franc, we are so Cab Franc that, it's exciting for us to expand what can be done with Cab Franc,
right?
What can be done. So I just wanted to share that white Malbec because I thought it was pretty cool. And I think it was $13.
Oh my God.
Yeah. At ShopRite Liquors.
There you go.
Yeah. I was.
And we're going to talk about price and wine too.
Yes. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
All right, Deb, I think you are up first. Yes.
All right. Hold on. I got to bring up the questions. Okay. So here we have the first question of the evening. Is there a right way to swirl wine, and why do people do it? Well, I'll tell you. There's really no right way to swirl wine. Well, I don't have a stemless glass. I have a stemless glass, so I can swirl it this way. I don't know if you can see. I can swirl it that way. A gentle rotation. It allows the air, the oxygen to get in, and it does release the the aromas of the wine. Like I said, is there a right way or wrong way? It's kind of say you're left-handed, you're right-handed.
Right.
If you're down under, do you swirl it the opposite way? But you want to keep a light downward pressure on the glass, so obviously it doesn't fall over. You don't want to go too nuts. You don't want it to be like, the swirly thing that's going to go down, down.
Right.
Wasn't there a commercial, like a detergent commercial or something like that?
Of the detergent, the spinning?
I don't know, something like that. But you kind of want to do it in a soft way and then sniff it. And usually, the first, when you sniff, kind of like just do like 3 short sniffs, and you'll kind of get a really nice idea of the aromas of the wine.
Nice.
And then do it again as the wine warms up, whether it's red wine, white wine, rosé. As it warms up, it will give off different aromas.
And if you get more and more into wine, you will start to realize that you swirl everything. I swirl water. I swirl milk. Hot cocoa, I swirl. The only thing I will say about the right way to swirl is it's really important not to overfill your glass.
That is, and you know what? That's a thing. Like in restaurants, sometimes I see that they really do. They don't have the proper glass size for where they're pour. They might have a 6-ounce glass of wine, and they're serving 5 ounces, so it doesn't give you that area to swirl.
Yeah. So like when we're at a restaurant, when Mike and I are at a restaurant, they always want to come and they want to pour the wine for you. Oh, there's an empty glass, or a partially empty glass, and they'll come over and pour. And we're always like, no, that's okay, we'll pour, because they want to like fill it all the way.
Yeah.
And then I can't swirl, And honestly, the whole concept of swirling, like you said, is to let that micro oxygenation go in,
mm-hmm.
and when it's that high, you can't smell anything.
And you're going to spill it, and it's going to be a mess, and
no
one's going to be happy.
Right. All right. So this question I absolutely love because it gets asked so much. And like I said, we never say there's a stupid question. Every question is valid. But what cracks me up about this question are the people who come into the tasting room, or the people who you're out with at dinner or whatever, who think that they are so wine savvy. And then they start talking about the legs of the wine. And, oh, yes, this must be a very high quality wine because it's got legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear that.
Yep.
Look at those legs. Like, want to see mine?
Yeah, right. Right. They do it in the tasting room. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I really, I've been working out a bit, so thank you, But so the legs really have nothing to do with quality of the wine at all. And to get a little geeky, it's actually the Marangoni effect. Okay. And what this means is that it's just the liquids at different surface tensions. And so they start to flow away from each other. So you're spinning, you're swirling it in the glass, and then the water that's in the wine and the alcohol in the wine have two different, surface tensions, and gravity is going to kind of start to pull them away from each other because of the surface tension, and they start to come down on the side of the glass. So, those are the two basic components of wine: alcohol and water. So when you swirl, it swirls all the way up the glass, and then it comes down. So is it an indicator of quality? No. It could be an indicator of how much alcohol is in there. Okay. So the more alcohol that's in there, you might be seeing more legs, because that's that Mangione effect coming down. And I know it's very, you can't see it in a screen, and people who are on a podcast can't see anything. But it has nothing to do with quality. So it just really has to do with the amount of alcohol that's in the wine, and that geekiness, that Marangoni effect of those different surface tensions separating as they go down the glass. So
Lori, Kevin had a question going back to the white back in the white Cab Franc. He wanted to know about other specs like TA, pH, tasting profile.
Oh, okay. So the pH, right where pretty much everything in Paso Robles is a 3.4. And the TA was at about, 0.67. It's Paso. It's a Paso wine. It's a red wine, just looking like a white wine is really what it is. And the taste profile is, I wouldn't say it's crisp. It's not like a Sauvignon Blanc crisp, but it's not like a Chardonnay full either. It's kind of like medium minus body, I would say, but it is true. It's peach, lots and lots of peach flavors and aromatics going through. So
I'm looking forward to tasting it.
So it's a fun wine. It's really, we're so excited about it. It's, it only took me 10 years of me asking Mike, can I make a white Cab Franc? Can I make a white Cab Franc? Can I make a white Cab Franc? So next year there'll be more, because he didn't understand how crazy people were about this concept. So.
Well, that's good. So going on to our next question, can I judge a wine by its price? Does more expensive always mean better? Well, I'll tell you. My personal opinion is, if you like a wine, you like it. If it's, more expensive, you're going to find that your more perceived, better quality wineries will have a higher price. Is it good? Yes, it's good, but everyone's perception of good is different. Is lower priced wines not good? Hell no. You can get some really good wines for $13, like Lori.
Yes.
You can get some really good wines for under $20. Sometimes Paul and I will open a very expensive bottle of wine and a lower priced bottle of wine. And sometimes that expensive bottle of wine is a fail. It is not as enjoyable as the, lower priced bottle of wine. So is one better than another? It's really, I would have to say no. It's all about your taste and what you like. I think it's perceived like you're going to get a Flowers, Cabernet Sauvignon or a Chardonnay. Oh, it's going to be wonderful. I see a lot of that in my restaurant. But you know what? I can get another Chardonnay, from say Argentina, that's less expensive, that might be just as good, if not better, according to my palate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, up to the person that is drinking and tasting the wine. Grapes from lesser known regions like, say, Alsace, the Savoy region in France, you're going to find that those two regions, that the prices might be more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, those wines might be a lot more affordable to you and just as good as a $60 bottle of flower Chardonnay, or I don't know how much it costs. Oh, I could probably, since we're going for a liquor license at the restaurant, I can probably grab and find out, but it will not be on my menu. But, drink what you like. Don't let it intimidate you. And if you bring a $15 bottle of wine to a party because you like it and it tastes great to you, and the people have all these, $30, $40 bottles of wine, don't be intimidated, because you know what? You might taste those wines and they might not be that good.
I will not say where, when, how, not anything that I purchased because my wallet doesn't afford that. But I had a bottle that, as that date that I consumed it, was an $800+ bottle of wine. And
God damn.
It was not. I was like, huh.
Were you drinking Roman Conte?
Yeah, you did. I was like, I've had much better. I had much better from that same winery.
Right.
That, so
not at $800.
Right. And it was an aged bottle, so it was an $800+ bottle, but it's not an even thing. It's not apples to apples.
Right. Right. And a lot of times also, wineries, if they're a very well-known quality or boutique winery,
100 points,
they might price their wines a lot higher than the, price per tonnage that would, that they're actually paying for it. So, it's.
Yeah. And along with that, as a tag on to that, Deb, I'll add heavy bottles.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Heavy bottles.
This is actually a heavy bottle.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy bottles is one of the things that I want, I want to like grab people and shake them and go, what are you doing? Because that has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of the wine that is in that bottle. It is completely different, but it gives the impression that it must be a high quality wine because it's this big bottle.
Right.
But as a consumer, I wouldn't want a heavy bottle, because what that means is, A, they don't care about the environment. So right there, I'm anti that winery, because the heavier the glass, the more energy it takes to make that bottle, and then the all the way down. So they don't really care about the environment. But secondly, when you ship wine, which is already out of control of pricing to ship wine, but it goes by pounds. And if you are buying a wine that is a big, bulky, heavy bottle, you're just paying for that shipping. So you're paying more for the wine than it should be, because you've got the impression it's an expensive wine because of a heavy bottle. The cost to that winery is more expensive because it's a heavy bottle, and they're going to transfer that cost right to you. So you're paying more for that bottle. And then when they're shipping it to you, you're paying more because it weighs more to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the wine that is in that bottle can be the same exact wine in a lighter bottle, you know, it's still the same wine. The liquid inside, the bottle itself does not affect.
You know, it's funny, but when I pick up a bottle and it's really heavy, my first thing is, what were they thinking putting it in this heavy bottle?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So it's perception. Yeah. That's what it is.
And it really goes back down to drink what you like, and don't let price influence you. If you like the $60 bottle of Chardonnay, by all means, have at it. If you like the $15 bottle, enjoy.
If you like $2 Chuck, good for you. Enjoy.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. All right. Okay. This question I think gets asked quite a bit also. And how long should I really keep a bottle of wine open? And that is a very, very difficult question to actually answer, because there's so much that goes into what makes the wine go bad. Okay. So first of all, the wine doesn't really go bad. It's not like you're going to get food poisoning if it's a day over what it's supposed to be, right? Like if you eat bad eggs, you're going to get food poisoning, right? Wine's not going to do that to you. But there's so many things that determine that, the acid that's in there, the tannin structure that's in there, what the wine is. Is it a red wine? Is it a white wine? Even within the white wine, there's some varieties that are more, I'm blanking on the word, susceptible to oxygen coming in and affecting those flavors and those aromatics. So like Chenin Blanc gets oxidized easily. So that is going to go bad, in quotes, faster than probably a Chardonnay, right? It's because of just certain wines have different effects on, due to the oxygen. Also, Chardonnay, especially if it's aged in oak, that's going to have a different impact on, or be exposed to that oxygen differently. Red wine's exactly the same, depending on what the variety it is, how it was processed, all of that. But pretty much a safe bet is, if you're going to keep it in the refrigerator, it does extend it a little bit longer. It does help prevent some other types of bacteria that can, that are in there that can start to come alive type thing. Kind of similar to ketchup, which is why you keep ketchup in the refrigerator. But so that all plays a role. But I would say you're kind of safe with like 3 days. It's kind of a safe bet. But that all goes by the wayside if you're talking sparkling wine, right? Sparkling wine, I'm sorry, you
got to drink the whole bottle.
Jinx. Yes, just drink the whole bottle, people. It's low in alcohol. It just makes you feel good. But if you do have one of those caps that are made specifically for sparkling wine, and it tightens nicely around that bottle, then I would say that next day is not a problem. I've even had a sparkling that I've had 2 days later. I opened it to if I opened it today, I don't open it tomorrow, I don't open it the next day, but then the next day I do, it's still okay. But once you'll know
once you undo the thing how much pressure releases.
Yes. If you hear a pop, it's still all right.
Yeah.
If you don't hear a pop,
then just toss it.
Don't
even try. Don't even try.
Absolutely.
So what's the difference between old world and new world wines? Well, old world is really from Western Europe, and that's really where a lot of the vinifera has originated. And they've imported, like the French Huguenots brought wine, their grapes to the Hudson Valley. Just that's, how grapes have gotten supposedly, into other places. Usually in Western Europe, the wines are believed to have lower alcohol levels, as well as deeper ties to the places where the grapes are grown. And the New World refers to like North America and South America, and Australia in the newer areas, where you're seeing, wine produced. The Court of Master Sommeliers announced that they would no longer be using the term in blind
I saw
tasting.
that.
Yeah, it has to do with tradition, where Old World wine tends to have a lighter body, lower alcohol, higher acidity, and less fruity flavor, with more minerality than New World wines. And New World wine tends to be fuller, higher alcohol, lower acidity, and more pronounced flavors. And you know what? That's probably true. As I think of what I've been drinking lately, I do get more minerality in European wines, but yet if you drink wines from St. Lucia Highlands in California and certain places in New York, you get a lot of that minerality. So, I think it's all a matter of place, where it's grown and the growing conditions and the soil. And, if it was a glacial lake that is now, a vineyard, and things like that. But I would say there is a difference. Age-wise, they've been growing grapes in Europe a heck of a lot longer than they've been growing grapes in the United States, Argentina, Chile, Australia. So just think Old World, think about, your heritage, where, going down the line where you originated from. That's the Old World. The New World is what we're living in today.
I think about, in terms of Old World, New World, here in the United States, even in Chile, like in the New World, right? If you are into the fourth generation or fifth generation of winemakers in your family, you're old in the New World, right?
Yes.
Whereas Old World, they're like 15th generation, 20th generation of winemakers in the family.
Yes.
And it just shows they've been making wine a lot longer than we have in the New World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of our vines, the vinifera vines, have come from the Old World.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But that's a good question. I like, and you know what? I think people have a certain palate. I definitely am appreciative of an Old World. And, I have I guess for now 5 years, I've been starting to build up a library of Bordeaux. I've been buying the wines during En Premiere for like the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm getting that library and I love those wines. But I think I really have more of a New World palate because that's just what I drink more often. It's just, if I walk into a wine shop, I'm going to, Spain. I'm going to, New Zealand or, Argentina, though that's kind of like where I go. And obviously a lot of California, or United States wines, Oregon, even New York, all of those, but I think of Old World as, they're young if they're in their 10th family, where we don't have anybody, I can't think of a single winery in the United States that's in their 10th generation.
No. And honestly, they're lucky if their kids want to come back and work in the winery,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
where I seen in Europe, the children might leave and go do whatever they want, but they find their way back because
Right.
they feel that that's a part of them. Okay, they've lived for 10 years, they've sown their wild oats, so to say. They've done whatever, practiced law, was a doctor or whatever, but they always find themselves back in that winery, in that vineyard, because
Right.
that's what's inbred in them.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
where they find joy and peace.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. This is another fun question that does get asked a lot. And this is, are screw caps on wine bottles a sign of poor quality? Or you can reverse that question is, does cork mean that it is automatically a higher quality wine than screw caps? So this has been a debate for a very, very long time. When screw caps first came out, kind of here, because they've been being used in other places, but here in the United States, when screw caps first came out, they were bad. They were bad screw caps, and they didn't do what needed to be done for the wine. But over time, the screw
There was
caps.
also a procession. People would think, oh, it's a screw cap, you got to drink it now.
Yes.
Perceived
Yes.
notion that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and when screw caps kind of first started coming about, the reason why they came about was because of TCA, which is cork taint. And years ago, there was somewhere on the average of 11% of the bottles under cork were tainted with TCA. That's a huge, huge percentage. In that time, the cork society council, not society council, the cork council really dug in and did research and evaluated what really was the root cause of TCA. And it was the fact that wineries are constantly cleaning. That's what we have to do. And bleach was being used. And bleach, along with this fungus, put them together, and woohoo, you get, well, I shouldn't say woohoo, you get cork taint. Okay? That was a tongue twister. And so bleach is not used anymore. There's other methods of cleaning and sterilizing the equipment now. And in today's world, cork taint is actually below or just at about 1%. So that is a very, very big difference. So screw caps, when they first, so people, I know a winery, will not say who they are, who put everything under screw caps, and their comment is, well, screw caps are the thing to do because when you bottle it, you screw cap it, and you know that exactly what's in that bottle is the same on day one as it is on day 300, 400, 500, whatever. Which I, in turn, want to say, which I kept my mouth shut, which, Deb, that's a rarity for me.
Yes.
But I don't want my wine to taste exactly the same day one of bottling as I want it to 6 months from now, right? We know that there is bottle shock. We know that things, that wine ages and marries, especially if it's a blend. The different varieties, they marry as the time goes along. So if I'm bottling and I'm putting it under screw cork right away, and what they say is true, that nothing changes, well, then I don't like that. It's not a quality thing. I just don't like that. However, that's really not the truth either, because in today's world, the Stelvins, they actually do allow a little bit of micro-oxygenation. They've learned or adapted and recreated these screw caps to do things to help the wine get a little micro-oxygenation. but it's not going to age the same way that a cork allows that to do. Okay. Now, with that being said, like what you said, Deb, about the perception. So there was a research study done where they had, I don't know what the N number was, how many people they had in this survey, but they all, let's say, were facing in one direction and they were behind them and they pulled a cork out of a bottle and then they walked out and they poured the wine for everybody. And the people, did whatever. Mm-hmm. And before they did the cork bottle, they walked in front of them and they unscrewed a bottle and they poured it for them. And the percentage or the perceived percent, the percentage was that the perception proved that the corked wine was a better wine. And it was the same exact wine in the bottles. They just pulled a cork or they unscrewed it. But it was the same wine. But the people's perception was that this cork meant that it tasted better. And it was the same wine. So it's what you want. It's what you do. And you're absolutely right that the cork the screw cap kind of automatically makes people think they've got to drink it right away or, within a year. Mm-hmm. That's kind of one of the problems with rosé, right? Rosé is typically under a screw cap, mm-hmm. and people are like, okay, I can't drink that rosé because it's not it's not this vintage. Mm-hmm. But you can drink rosé past a year later.
3-4 years, it's fine.
Yeah. So that it's all about perception. And what some of the most expensive bottles in the world are under screw cap. So percentage wise, currently 70% of the Australian wine and 90% of New Zealand wine is distributed with screw caps. Yeah. Today, screw caps make up around 30% of wine bottles on the market. So it's still a very low percentage across the board. But Australia and New Zealand are big time leading that.
There's a winery in the Hudson Valley that is all for screw caps. And he's moving forward and his whole portfolio is going to be under screw caps.
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly don't know what the pricing is. I actually think screw caps might be more expensive.
Are they?
But there's there's levels of corks.
But what about synthetic corks? People have been using them. I've been popping more wines with synthetic corks.
Okay. Well, watch your Coravin with that. That'll break your cork.
I know.
No, just I will go on the record here. Just say no.
But it is. I've seen it, and I've seen more recently, more synthetic corks than I've seen.
Yeah,
in a while.
That. And we at Gersina Wines, we do kind of follow that romanticized concept that our red wines are in cork. They will always be in cork. Our white wines, our rosé, are in screw cap. And that's just not so much what, it's just how the United States thinks.
I'm going to throw in a ringer here. What about canned wine?
Oh, canned wine has come a long way.
It has. It has.
And I have had some seriously awesome box wine.
Oh, have you?
Tablas Creek here in Paso has a box wine that is delicious. Chateau Margine does a boxed wine, that is, or a bag wine. The box isn't there. It's, you buy it in a bag.
Big juice box.
Yeah. And the bag wines, they're going to start coming out more and more too, because you can put it in the refrigerator and it's going to stay longer. Going back to that question of how long can a wine last, we're talking 3 days for a bottle, weeks for a bag wine, or a box wine, which is really just in a bag in a box. You're not drinking a wine in cardboard.
I've had some good canned wines.
Yeah.
I've taken out on the boat, and it's,
they have their place in there. Yeah. And now that is a different winemaking process. If you're going to put a wine in a can, you're specifically making wine to go in a can.
Right.
That's a different kind of overall process. Kevin asking about the TA and the pH and things like that. Right. You've got to adjust that type of thing to be able to go into a can.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of canned wines because, like, going out on your boat, right?
Yeah.
You can take that out, and you don't really want glass on your boat.
Yeah.
Or around a pool, or
exactly
like that.
Where no glass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so now that leads us to our next question. Is it true that all wines get better with age? Well, I would like to think so, but just like us people, we age like a fine wine.
Yes.
Sorry, resist. But, some wines do improve with age. Some wines are not meant to be aged. Today, a lot of wines are meant to be consumed within the year, or they're bought to be consumed right away. When wines are young, whether it's a red wine or a white wine, you're going to taste their primary flavors, like a Sauvignon Blanc. And I wouldn't necessarily age a Sauvignon Blanc, but
unless you left it in your, left it in your closet and forgot that it was there.
Yeah, but the plum and the Merlot, the citrus flavors and Riesling. Riesling ages really nicely.
It does.
But
that's that acid.
Yeah, I mean, and as it ages, you get that petrol notes, and it gets darker, and it's really quite an incredible wine that I think is very. Many people don't understand it, but that's a topic for a whole nother Winephabet Street. So we may also notice that secondary notes associated with winemaking techniques, like the vanilla flavor of oak or the buttery nuances of malolactic fermentation, can also come into play. So when they age, you start talking about the why can't I say this? Titaric notes. Yeah.
Oh, tartaric?
No.
Tertiary.
Yes, that's it.
Tertiary flavors. Okay.
I did not sleep well last night with all that wind. I think I've been up since 3:00 this morning. But yeah, and flavors, they come from development. So a young wine is fresh, and as a wine ages, and I'm going to use red as an example, you're going to get more dried fruit, stewed fruit, and those kind of notes. So certain wines age better than others. Like a Burgundy Pinot Noir will age well. A Bordeaux will age well. I've had some really good California Cabernet Sauvignons that age well. Will an Albarino age like that? Probably not.
No, but they're starting to age.
I know they are. They are. But so some wines are meant for, extended agings, like, bold red wines.
It's all about the acid and the tannin. It's that backbone. It's the structure.
Yeah. And so just know, not all wines are meant for aging. You want to have, like, red wines, high tannic. The tannins will soften out as the wine ages. I don't want to get into more because there's another question there if we get to it. But, do some research to make sure if you're purchasing a wine to age, that it is a wine with that is ageable. Some Chardonnays are ageable. Oak Chardonnays would be ageable. I would not buy and age a stainless steel Chardonnay, which is fresh and vibrant and, has a completely different flavor profile, and it's meant to drink now, not to age. So is it true that all wines get better with age? The answer to the question is really no. Some wines do, some wines don't. And you really have to know what you're purchasing and, what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so next we have, which, Deb, we're coming up to an hour. So we do have more questions. So while I'm answering this next question, think about, do we do a two-parter or we continue and make this a long one, or we cut it? So
I don't know.
Yeah. So the next question we have, and the people who are on the chat, if you have any questions, please throw them in there. So the next question we have is, what exactly is a dry wine? And so going back to science, what happens? How do we get wine? We have grapes that have sugar in it. We have we have yeast that are on the grapes or brought in to the winery or added at the winery, and those yeast eat the sugar, and that is going through alcoholic fermentation. And when they eat the sugar, they basically poop out carbon dioxide and alcohol. Okay. So as they release that carbon dioxide and the alcohol, the sugar level is going to drop down. And what makes a wine dry is if the yeast continue to, if you think about, the old Pac-Man game, want, right? As the yeast continue to consume the sugar, if the yeast survive long enough to eat all of the sugar, then it is going to be a dry wine. So the problem is kind of similar to us, right? We cannot eat our, sorry for the, whatever, but we cannot eat our own excrement without having problems. Okay. So the yeast are in there and they are hanging out and they are producing alcohol and they are swimming in their waste product. So they can die off. So if they die off before they eat all of the sugar, you are going to have RS, or residual sugar. The higher the residual sugar is that is left in there, the sweeter the wine is going to be. If the yeast can eat all of the sugar, then it is going to have 0 residual sugar and it is going to be a dry wine. Now, one of the tricks to knowing if it is a dry wine or a sweet wine is to look at the alcohol level. So the lower alcohol levels, like if you look at a Riesling, let's talk Riesling because that's the one that everybody thinks is always the sweet wine, but there are dry Rieslings. Same thing with Gewürztraminer, right? The lower the alcohol, the higher the sugar, the sweetness level is going to be. So if you see a 10% alcohol Riesling, it's probably going to be a sweet wine. It's going to have residual sugar in it. But because of how science works, if the acid is super high, it still can be a sweet wine, but you're not going to feel it as a sweet wine. Yeah. So there's there's not really a one easy answer for these things, but that is what is a dry wine. If the yeast have completely consumed all of the sugar within the grape, that is fermented to dryness.
Very good. Do you want to go on? I'm thinking we can have one more.
Sure.
And then maybe do part 2 next month.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is, now we've gone from sweet to dry. We're going to know, how do you know if your wine has gone bad? So there's many ways to know if your wine's gone bad. So if the fruity aroma disappears and it's turned dull and flat, as a bitter edge, color changes, white wines will turn brownish, red wines will turn lighter or browner and brickish. It has gone bad. Also, if you smell nail polish, wet dog, cardboard, your wine has gone bad.
Those are faults.
Those are faults. Yeah, but it's still, it's bad.
Yes. You know? Yep. Yes, it is.
and it might be like it's no fault of your own. And wines go bad for many reasons. They age out. They just, through the aging process, there's many a times I've gone in my cellar and I've pulled this wine and it's like 10 years old and I can't wait to drink it. And it's like, oh, this is pretty gross. I can't even cook with this. And it's like it missed its window of opportunity. And a wine goes on like a bell-shaped curve. So it gets better, then it reaches its peak, and then it just starts to go down. And it goes down fast. And how do there is no scientific way to know unless you Corvan your wine every now and then to see how it tastes. And that's just, the aging of the wine. But, also storage comes into play. How you store your wine and the temperature, and a wine can go bad through time from that. And it might, no fault of your own. You might not have known there was a heater there in that room and you stuck that case of wine right there. And,
you cooked it. You cooked it.
And sometimes, sometimes there might be a defect in the screw cap that you don't know about. And, or the cork wasn't fitted right. There's always something can happen in the processing, something can happen in the storage. And when I say the storage throughout the process, from the winery to the distributor, to the restaurant, to the liquor store,
right?
Anything can happen. So when you get these off aromas that just aren't right, and then it does not taste right. I mean, the other day, I think Paul and I opened like 2 bottles of wine that were past their prime.
Oh, that's
yeah, I was kind of really bummed. But one we couldn't even cook with. The other, I said, we can probably savor this, but when we don't. But you will know. You will know from the minute you smell it, see it, and taste it. It's bad,
And as we said earlier, sparkling is easy.
Yeah.
If you open it and it doesn't pop.
Yeah. And there's a really good book out. It's more on wine faults, but that is, a wine might be bad. It might be bad because of storage. It might be bad because of cork taint. It might be bad because, whatever, something happened in the processing, but it also might be bad because there's a fault.
Right.
And John Huddleston, who is a friend of mine, who actually used to be chairman of the Hudson Valley Wine Competition before me. He actually left it to me. He's still alive. It's not something that he willed to me. So then I took over. He's a great guy. He wrote a book all on wine faults, and it is available on Amazon. And it is a great book. And if you want to know more in-depth information on wine faults and what some of it contributes to the wine faults, I mean, it is a really good book to read. But just be aware of your senses.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we can end on that note, because I'd hate to start on that note.
Yeah. So we will come back next month and we will do more wine questions.
Part 2.
Yeah, we will do questions part 2. And in that meantime, if anybody has any questions that you want us to answer next month, please take the time, leave a comment. These will be on YouTube, so you can leave a comment there. There'll be blog posts, leave a comment on the blog post, send an email to Deb. She is hvwinegoddess@gmail.com.
Yep. And you can also DM us on social media.
Right.
With any questions, and we will add you to the list. But I think we got a good 10, 11 questions for next.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So there were a lot. There's a lot of questions out there. So the big takeaway is, don't be afraid to ask a question of somebody. Wine is always a learning experience, and it should not be intimidating. And it should just be enjoyed. So,
tell me your questions when we're poolside in Cabo.
There you go. Yes. So thank you everybody for joining. And I hope you have a wonderful month. And, let us know if you have any questions. Yeah. Yes. Enjoy spring.
Well, yeah. And we will catch up with you guys next month. Till then.
Slancha.
Cheers.
Slancha.
Cheers.